Hiya! Welcome to Brain Farts. So some shit has gone down on Twitter. And, long story short, I ended up making a tweet with a Google document attached. For those of you familiar on Twitter, you know that shit has gone down. When someone makes Google documents, it's usually a sign that some shit is going down. To sum up the entire situation a lot, the person that has rigged my current model turns out to actually be a scammer. Yeah. Before we continue, I want to tell you guys that please, if you want to read the entire thing, my Twitter is linked in my card, and it's like the pinned tweet. So, yeah. And as I have stated several times, both in the document and on Twitter itself, I absolutely hate having to make this, but yeah. It's necessary. So, I want to first go over a rough summary of my experiences with this particular scammer, and also do a bit of commentary on the response that my document has garnered. And also, apparently, this is the most viral tweet I've made so far. So, yeah. Why is this? Why is this the thing that pops off? I guess Twitter really loves drama, huh? Well, to very roughly summarize it, my rigger first got in contact with me through Twitter DMs on April the 12th of 2024. And yes, all of this happened this year. So, yeah. If I don't specifically state the year, you can safely assume that it happened in 2024. So on the 12th of April, they kind of like messaged me. We were chatting a bit about like art, and I just assumed that they were interested in art, and I wanted to make friends with similar interests. Boy, how wrong I was, how innocent and sweet and naive of a ray of sunshine I was back then. Twitter really ruins a person, huh? So, at some point they shared some of, quote-unquote, their work. Since then, I've learned that they are prone to steal other people's work and write it off as their own, and also use AI image generators. So, that's lovely to know. They kept pushing to commission them, and eventually, after like a bunch of times of me just saying, no, I'd rather do it myself, I ended up giving in, sending them my model art and having them rig it. That cost me $400. And I even was pressured into sending a tip on top of that, which is another $40. So the entirety of this rig cost me $440. And from rumors I've heard, that's actually them just using a rigging template, which was not disclosed to me at all. As far as I knew, they were doing all of this by hand, but I've heard rumors that they actually use rigging templates, which, if that has actually occurred here, it was not at all disclosed to me. So, long story short, they ended up rigging my model. They sent me a video of like a showcase of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing actually seeing my art that I worked so hard for actually moving. And that really made me happy and emotional because I've never had that happen before. And it wasn't until like a week or so later that I realized, wait a sec. In the email that I sent them with the Photoshop file, I specifically requested that the cloak would be a toggle, but I also requested the wings, tail, and horn to be a toggle. They only delivered on the cloak toggle. So, 25% of all the toggles I requested in that email have been delivered. Only 25% have been delivered. But yeah, by that point I was like, it's probably my fault. I should have specified it in the Twitter DMs as well, because that's the primary form of contact with them. They probably missed it in the email. My bad, I should have specified that. And by that point, I was so embarrassed because I already paid and tipped. And I just afterwards noticed that it was not completely what I asked for. So by that point, I felt too embarrassed to bring it up to them. And I just took it as a learning lesson. So yeah, that ain't good. But afterwards, they kept pressuring me to like commission more stuff from them, like a profile icon, chibi art. I think they also were like, oh yeah, backgrounds and emotes, I can do that too for you. And oh, your boyfriend wants a new model? Oh, I can do that for you. And just a lot of stuff. Like, they kept pressuring me to commission them for other projects. All the way up to, like, I think earlier this week was the last message. Either that or, like, a week or two ago. But, yeah. They have been messaging me to get them to get me to commission them for more stuff. Even when I specifically said, like, no, I want to do this myself, and with my boyfriend's model, it was specifically that, like, I have asked him to contact them and, like, work out something between them. But, boyfriend's busy, so he just didn't do that. And I I didn't feel comfortable giving out my boyfriend's info without his knowledge, even. So, the only point of contact that this rigger had was with me. So, when I told them that, yeah, I have contacted my boyfriend and asked him to contact you, and he just didn't do it because he is super busy. Obviously, that rigger continued to pester me, and it was getting quite annoying. And then, like, a few days ago, I was scrolling through Twitter, came across an account that's, like, calling attention to, art thieves and that, and after a bit of chatting, I learned that my rigger is actually a known scammer. And there are screenshots of, like, this person using model showcases of both Lumi and Iron Mouse to promote their own commissions. Iron Mouse has not worked with this rigger. Like, I know that for a fact. And as longtime viewers know, I look up to Iron Mouse a lot. Like, I think she's amazing, and it just made me feel really, really gross to learn that someone I financially supported has, like, gone out of their way to use a model showcase from Iron Mouse to promote their own commissions and just completely disrespecting Iron Mouse. It made me really, really gross. So I blocked them, and I realized at this point that I could not stay quiet about it, so I made the document, made a tweet. Honestly, very annoyed as well, because I had plans to just have a chill day working on the art for my new model. And instead, I spent like a few hours just compiling all of that and drafting the tweet and figuring out the best way to go about all that. And it was not a good time, honestly. But since then, I have received some messages, and in particular, a comment on the Twitter message that told me that, hey, you could, if you're still within the period, then you could just file a chargeback to PayPal. And I understand why people are telling me to file a chargeback, because first of all, that would be punishing this person who did wrong. It would be teaching them a lesson, and also because they did not deliver on everything I requested from them. So I have the right to get at least a partial refund. I completely understand that. And I also understand that me refusing to file a chargeback could come across as a weird thing, but that's why I want to explain that here in a more direct way. I am, at the current time, not looking to file a chargeback. And that is because it is a big headache for me. Even if I'm still within the warranty period or whatever, it's a big headache because I have to fight with PayPal, and PayPal will probably go and say, hey, the person you commissioned has filed a chargeback. And that means that they will then try to fight to stop me from getting that chargeback. And because I have stated several times that I was very happy with it, the odds are not exactly in my favor. Even if I later discovered that, like, I did not get what I asked for, my initial response has even publicly been that I am happy with the delivered product. I've stated that publicly multiple times, and that works against me a lot here. But most of all, it is the fact that I just don't want to deal with the headache and stress that filing a chargeback and having to defend my claims and all that. It brings a lot of headache and stress and extra work that I just don't want to deal with. Because, first of all, I'm in the middle of moving to a new place. And because it's going slow as balls and there's not really much proper communication, it's really fucking with me mentally. And on top of that, I am working on my 2.0 model and several other behind the scenes projects. And I just can't afford to waste a bunch of energy, time, and potentially stress myself out and make my mental health worse just to get like $100 or so back. It's just not worth it to me. I'm just gonna bite the bullet on this one and learn from the situation, and hopefully when it's time to commission someone to rig my 2.0 model, hopefully by then I am more capable and more prepared to deal with all of the stuff that comes with commissioning someone. And looking at it from a business perspective, it's like, technically I could file a chargeback, but the result is gonna be so small that, like, it's not even gonna, it's just not worth it. I understand that a lot of you would want to see me file chargeback and bring them to justice and all that, but, like, I'm not that strong. I have a lot of other stuff to deal with at the moment, and I'd rather just focus on that. I probably won't be making any more statements about the situation after this either, because I just want to move on. This entire situation has really tainted a lot of the memories I have with this model, and it made me even more eager to just focus on the 2.0. And I actually want to talk a little bit about the 2.0. Obviously, I cannot reveal every single thing that's going to be changing about the new model. First, because then there wouldn't be a surprise, and second of all, because I'm looking at my budget and wondering what I can and cannot afford, and I don't want to be discussing everything about my model in detail only to realize, oh, I can't actually afford half these things. So I'm just gonna be touching on a few things I wanna update with the 2.0 model. First of all, the body. It's gonna be a much more muscular body type and with some more realistic proportions than the current one. I'm also hoping to have a lot more toggles on it as well that are actually like worked into the model art and rig instead of just PNGs that I put on top of it. Like, for example, with the glasses or the blush. Those are just items that I place on top of my model. But for the new model, I want them to actually be like toggles for the model itself instead of separate items. I also have been looking at V-Bridger and debating whether or not I want to have like V-Bridger compatibility so that like my facial expressions are a little bit more um, detailed, I guess. um, and overall, I want to try to make the model more expressive and dynamic. And the big thing is that I also want to focus on trying to make the model actually more of a celestial spirit vibe, because my current model often gets confused for like a dragon girl, which no, I'm not a dragon, I'm a celestial spirit. And I understand that like the screenshots and the documents aren't really helping my case with that, but originally the concept was an artist and a dragon that have fused together and ascended to the status of a celestial spirit. But later on, I just simplified that to I'm a celestial spirit. Because originally I had like a bunch of lore with the dragon and artist type of stuff, and by the time it was actually by the time I actually started using my model, I was like, I'm not gonna be doing art streams. Like, I'm not gonna be doing that anymore. It's art. I want art to be like more of a hobby instead of a way to make content. So I just don't want to be live streaming that shit anymore. So it doesn't really make sense to have the whole artist vibe. And, you know, so I just simplified it to I'm a celestial spirit. But, you know, there's still a lot of very big, you know, dragon elements in my design, and I want to kind of push away from that and embrace more of the celestial spirit thing. And that's why a lot of these dragon elements will probably be yeeted out and replaced with other stuff. And yeah, that's kind of the rough ideas that I have for my 2.0 model. It's gonna be a pretty drastic redesign, and I understand that a lot of you are probably gonna be missing the old model because, let's face it, it's pretty cute. But I do hope that you will all welcome the 2.0 model and continue to support me. I I'm really grateful for all of you who have supported me, not just with this whole incident, but just in general. I Even though there's a lot of drama and controversy going on in VTubing, I genuinely do love it. I love being a VTuber, and I want to get a model more that allows me to be more expressive and just be me a lot more. I guess, if that makes sense. I genuinely appreciate all of you who have supported me up to this point, and I hope that you will all continue to support me even in my new model. But I want to make clear that the name Tenkai Yorokobi and these channels, they're not going anywhere. It's just a redesign, not like a complete overhaul of my identity. Thank you all for hearing me out, and yeah, I hope that we'll continue to grow together. Bye bye.